Okay. So I'm just so thankful for Dr. Ramirez for doing this, and thank you so much for everyone coming. It's a Friday, and I know you're all busy doing your data collection and you're planning for your research and everything. But hopefully today you will learn something that you can use immediately or in the future. Okay, so let's join me thanking Dr. Ramirez.
Sure, great, thanks. Just very quick introduction. We see a lot of familiar faces, but some people I don't know. If you could just tell me where you're coming from, that'd help me to understand maybe some of the studies you're gonna do. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Hi everyone, I'm Synergy, Chair of Psychological Science, and I'm here mostly on behalf of my master's students and my undergraduate
great.
honors thesis students, so it's a variety of studies. But we'll be doing broadly in cognitive studies.
Okay. Hi, what's your name?
My name is Hadi and that was in adult community education.
Adult Community Education. Great, well, welcome. I think that's all the guests we have. Oh, one more person, yeah.
My name is Daniel Trujillo. I'm a third year here in Ball State, and I'm majoring in psychological science.
So you're undergrad.
Yeah.
Look around, there's no other undergrads here. You're the only one, so congrats for taking the initiative. This can actually be very helpful to us.
Right.
All right, so let's dive in. We're gonna talk about Prolific. Maybe some of you have heard of it, don't know how to use it. Maybe some of you don't know what it is, but you've heard it's pretty helpful. The answer is yes. So let me just dive in with a very broad introduction, and then we'll go much deeper. So a lot of us tend to collect data in person. We'll, collect people through Sona or other systems. We say, hey, can you do my study? That's all great, but it can take a long time. Prolific, what it does is it has people sign up all around the world. They sign up to this website. They go to this website. When you post a study, they will select if they want to do your study in return for a little bit of money. And so that's basically what it does. It basically gives you a panel of participants from across the world. So if you're looking to do cross-cultural research, awesome. If you want to get mothers who are breastfeeding, awesome. If you want to get students from different backgrounds, you can do that. I use it a lot for first-generation college students. It can be completed all online. And the biggest con that I can give you is it's extremely fast. I'll talk about this a little bit later, but I'll just say that you want to collect 100 people who are first-gen college students, maybe who are from a Mexican origin background, you'll get done in 1 hour. Major advantage.
What's the downside?
We'll talk about the downside. The downside is the money.
Yeah.
That's really the only downside, and the other downside is they're not in person. They're not going to be as good quality. So let's break it down. So here on the left, we have if you're in the psychs, you have some kind of Sona access in your department, or if you have access to participants to your classes, well, congratulations, that's kind of awesome. It really helps with data collection. That's what we're talking about in the top column. Sometimes what we do though is we collect data online through these systems. So maybe we don't want to bring people in. We still just want them to do studies online. That's awesome too. Sometimes we don't have any access to these systems, or our subject pool is not that great. And so what we'll do is we'll go on social media and we'll advertise to these groups. That's free. That has major benefits and cons. Or maybe we'll go on social media and we'll advertise our studies for cash. That's that other column. The other two last options are to do what are called panel studies. There are many different kinds of panel websites, but the most popular right now are Qualtrics and Prolific. So let me show you what the differences are. First, control over the setting. Only if you're bringing people in person, that's the only option you're gonna have any control over the setting, really. But physical setting, if you want, for some reason your study is important that you have someone physically present, Sona or recruiting through in person, that's the only option, really. All of these other options are not gonna help you. Live interaction. A lot of times we want to interact with people live. We don't want them to do passive service in the background. We want to actually interact with them. Again, Sona has that major advantage. These gray bars represent that's a possibility in all these other systems. So I could theoretically have people sign up through Sona, go onto a Zoom room, and I can interact and interview them. You could do that, and you can do that on many of these options. One option you can't really do that, you likely won't be able to do that, is in social media. A lot of people don't want to jump in and talk to you on social media. It can happen, kind of awkward. What about personnel costs? This is where Sona can fail, and some of these other recruitment methods. For me to test you one at a time, If I have a 30-minute studies, that's 30 minutes of my time. If I'm doing 100 people, that's 50 hours. So that's where Sona doesn't do so well. As you can see, these other systems have much better advantages because they can all be done online. They can be done automatically, so it can all be done relatively faster. What about access to diversity? If you're in a diverse city, well, congratulations, even Sona's great for that. But if you're in Ball State, probably not great, maybe some good economic diversity, but otherwise not a lot of other kinds of diversity. So that's where these two systems are going to fail. Online studies can get you a more diverse sample. Social media, if it's free, good luck. Maybe you'll get, if you can get the participants, awesome. But that's where these two systems down here really excel. The biggest factor to consider though are these two columns. I always like to tell students in our program that there's cost is a broad term. It could be, we think of cost in terms of money, but we know from things like expectation value cost theory that cost can mean a lot of things. It can mean cost in terms of my opportunities to hang out with my friends, to write this other paper, to do these other projects. It can be opportunity costs, emotional costs. If you're a grad student who's been struggling to get data, you're probably like, banging, it's just a huge emotional cost. So I want us to think about costs in terms of actual time and money. In terms of time, something like Sona, it's going to take you anywhere between 3 to 6 months to collect 100 people. It's not great. If you want to collect data from for free on social media, that's going to take a long time for you to do. Even for cash, that can actually take a long time if you're offering people, say, $10, for instance. That's where these two systems, again, they excel great because it's going to take you about an hour to collect your whole data. The other, so that's I'm sorry, I was talking about time costs, right? Yeah. Financial costs, Sona is generally free. You have to pay people in credits. That's great. Here's where Prolific starts to break out from the rest. I'm going to talk about cost in a second, but for something like Qualtrics, for a 10, let's say a 15-minute study, it's going to cost you anywhere between $15 to $25. On Prolific, that price is for 15-minute study is going to be anywhere between $2 and $4. Oh, sorry. So as this. Oh, okay, okay. That was your, I got a question face. In terms of quality of participants, yeah, overall, you can't beat people who are live. Of course, a lot of these undergrads, they just want to do the thing for credit. They want to get out of there as fast as possible. That has its own problems, but that's our baseline. Our baseline is bringing people in person. If you can do that and have access to that, that's going to give you the best quality in terms of participant engagement. What I would argue is that Prolific and these panel studies are not as good quality because you're not in front of them. They're not bad. They're actually not bad. There's a lot of empirical evidence that shows that a lot of them are quite engaged. Not all of them, not in all these panel sites, but Prolific tends to be one of the better ones. So if you're thinking about, wow, are these people even going to do it? They will do it. And I'll tell you from personal experience that, yeah, the data quality is not perfect, but it's pretty good. So let me stop right here and just see if we can get any questions. I'm going to go into the time and financial costs more in depth in a second, but questions so far.
Do you compare to MTurk as well? Or
MTurk, I didn't even bother because it's trash at this point.
Okay,
The quality is horrible.
okay,
So I didn't even put it on.
okay,
Yeah, and there are other systems. If you have like a major big grant, you want to spend $20,000 to have some agency to recruit schools for you and test kids for you. You could do that if you have a lot of money for that, but it's such a major cost I didn't bother here.
okay.
Yeah. Yes.
I think you might be about to answer this,
Okay.
but you're talking about price, is that like per participant?
Per participant.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
what I thought.
Yes.
Right, so right now I'm looking at undergrad students in my second year project at Ball State.
Okay.
So I guess for you people not be very useful.
Would it be useful for you? If you wanted to get second years in Ball State, probably not. But if you just want kids in college, yes. So you belong right now to that top category. People who are you're recruiting through classes, you could bring them in person, but my guess is you're probably that second category, which is you're doing it all online. All right, so let's move on. So let's all go into Prolific. If you have started an account, which I emailed some of you about, great. If you didn't, that's okay. No big deal. I'm gonna be sharing my screen with you. So to do that, let me make sure that I'm showing you the right screen here, first of all. Projects. So let me go to on this. I'll share my screen, which I think right now is the same screen. So hopefully, if you're online, you can see this screen right now. It's what that I don't like about. Just in the way. Oops. So here's one of the best selling points. If I was Prolific and I want to sell this to you, one of the best selling points I would say is so easy. It's ridiculously easy. I tried to sell you to MTurk 2 years ago. It's such a hassle just to deposit money.
Gray hairs came from.
Yeah, so let me just show you how quickly we can do it. So we go to projects, okay, this is your login page. I select a project category, so let's go there. I'm gonna go to new study. Okay, now here's gonna ask you, do you want people to go, do you wanna build a survey within Prolific? You can do that. If you have a basic survey study, I would recommend you do that. It makes things very easy for the participant. But for most of you, you're probably gonna wanna the participants to go to your Qualtrics account. Here at Ball State, we have a Qualtrics account, so you're gonna select this. That says you're gonna give the link. You give it a basic name, simple. You give it a 2-3 sentence description for the participants to see. So please sign up for my study. You are going to tell me about your interactions around technology, for instance. Give a very basic 2-sentence description. You select what kind of devices the participants should have. For most of you, you're probably gonna be okay with mobile or tablets or desktop. But if no, it needs to be desktop, then you select this. Do participants need any special technology? If you're just doing a survey, no. But if you're doing video interviews, then yeah, you may want to say you need to have a microphone and a camera. So far, hoping this is pretty easy. What kind of study is it? As you can see, there's a lot of different options. We're gonna click survey because that's what most of us are gonna do. Are they gonna be exposed to anything violent? No, we're ignore that. What's the link to your study? So you put your Qualtrics link here. All right, how are you gonna record their IDs? You can do any of these options. What I tend to do is I tend to, at the very beginning, I say, what is your ID? They just enter their ID. That's how I know they've done it. All right, do you want to kick out any people based on past studies? Since you have no experience, you can probably just say no. When they're done with the study, do you want to manually review everyone you get, or do you want us to just pay everyone? That's what all this is asking. Okay, so this is where the fun stuff happens. So here you say, where do you want to get your participants from? I want them from Prolific. How many do you want? I'm gonna put down 100. Okay. Do they have to log in? You want to make this as simple as possible for your participants, so say no in this case. Okay, again, do you want to screen anybody? We're gonna say no here. Where do you want them to come from? This is where it starts to get really interesting. The vast majority come from the UK and from the USA. But there are many countries available. So I can select all possible countries, or I can click here, then it gives you a giant list of countries. See that it goes on and on and on and on. Of course, the samples in those countries are going to be vary in size, of course, but I can select based on country. So let's just say for the sake of today, I just want the USA. Okay, do you want the 100 people to, anyone who wants to take it, they'll just jump in? Do you want to meet a certain quota? Do I need it to be 20% women and etc.? Do you want it to represent the country? These are your options. Okay. All right, and then here's the interesting part. Screeners, who do you want exactly? Right now, in the USA, there are 100,000 people, okay, that you have access to. But let's choose a relatively hard study to do. Say you're like, I really want this subpopulation. Don't be too difficult. Give me a subpopulation that you might recruit. Let's see if we can get it. They should be adults.
First-time pregnant mamas.
First-time pregnant moms. They're currently pregnant.
Mhm.
That's gonna be hard. Let's back up a little bit.
No, that's participation.
Maybe let's try this, okay? Does someone online have a question? All right, let's try, okay, so let's try parents. So here you can select from all these different categories. Let's go to all screeners. There's actually all of these categories. So if you can't figure out what you want, you can say something like mothers. Okay, that didn't work. Try parents. Okay, that might work. Living with a biological child, no. Living with family. I've done this before, I know it exists. Let's say pregnant, let's just try it, why not? Oh, actually, it's there, never mind. I like it. Someone's online, turn off your microphone. Pregnancy. Are you currently pregnant? Now, where do they get this? I don't know when they may have asked this, so just keep that in mind. So we're gonna say yes. Okay, and then so we're gonna so watch this number. Right now, there's 100,000 people here. Now we select that. Well, then it's going to come down to a much smaller number, of course.
Okay.
90. Okay. But yeah, that's a
Look at all
very,
the
very,
That says 890.
oh, 890, okay, good.
Yes.
It's a very micro category. If you just want to say mothers with children, that's gonna be more like 10,000. Okay. So what I do often is I'll select first generation college students who have come from a Latino background. That might seem very restrictive, but that works really well, actually. It can do that. Let's throw out some numbers. I'll tell you some population. I'll tell you if they can or can't do that based on experience.
Disability.
I've never seen that. Let me see. Disability. Long-term health condition disability, seems like it could be there. Now, let's say you, okay, it'll tell you have a disability, but you care about it very specific, then you advertise the whole study to all people who have this, but then say, I only want these kinds of people. You could do something like that. Another category.
Looking for like freshman students across the US. but I don't
That's
know.
easy. That's, yeah, way too easy. You're gonna get
Well,
about
I thought I'd give you an easy one after Ken.
70,000 people. That's very,
Yeah.
very easy. You can select, are there current college students, former college students, or, the kind of school they go
Can
to.
you like specifically say like that you want like freshman students?
Mhm. You can say you need to be a first, you can even pre-select them to be only first year students, and then further say you only sign up to study if you're a freshman.
What about things like grade skipping or repeating?
Grade skipping, I don't think so. So grade. What would be a good term here?
Presentation.
No, it doesn't really like any of it. Certain,
Heavy user on social media.
absolutely, that one, there's an entire category here on that. Yeah, let me show you. Yeah, so you can do, tweeting frequency. For instance, it can get very detailed. So you can say, what kind of social media do you use?
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah.
What was your name again? Daniel, what kind of studies are you gonna do?
I'm getting more info on that right now. I'm just trying to get into it, but I mean, could you do like possibly like employment status, stuff like that?
Yeah, I'm fairly certain, and first of all, most of these people, 60% of them probably are not employed. Not all of them, but a lot, that tends to be employment status, employment role. Yeah, you could do that. A lot of people who sign up for this are either doing it because they're currently unemployed, or they're doing it as a side gig. They're, bored in their office, like, let's just do some of these studies. So are they giving you 100% of their attention? Probably not 100%. There's probably a screaming kid in the background, and they're like, shut up, guys, gotta take this study, right? But not bad, yeah.
I was thinking like. If there's something about like families that are like receiving government assistance, I don't know if that's way too specific or.
Let's see, seems very specific, but let's see.
Just FYI, you can actually select autism.
Oh, you can.
Yeah, I just.
And I was assuming probably like ADHD and stuff like that. Maybe.
This is technology, but no, I don't know if you can do based on, you can do an income.
Yeah.
You can pre-select on income and then ask those people who, for instance, are lower income, are you
Right,
receiving
yeah.
government assistance? Yeah, we have a colleague in one of our courses who studied parents whose kids are in pre-K. We can absolutely do that. Or who were in pre-K.
I was just distracted for a second. How do you do the combination, like the college and then?
You can just, yeah, so you just select, so you can select, I just want men who collect on that, who are taking oral contraceptives, who are doing telemedicine, who have dyslexia, and who believe they have this political affiliation.
So it serves as and,
And,
not
and.
or.
Exactly, no. And,
Yeah.
no pun intended, it's free. 2 years ago, if you made too many of these selections, they would start charging you a premium. Now it's all free.
Okay.
So you can select as many categories as you want. Let's take one question and we'll move on.
And international students,
Yeah, absolutely. What country?
like the J1 visa, for example.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. J1. Let's try visa. No, you can do, let's see, international. I think you can do international students. There you go. And then, so if this doesn't tell you J1 visa, you can then advertise your study as only J1 visa use.
Okay, so international students are international from inside out, right?
I think they're in the US, but
In the
they're,
US.
but they're not, this is not their home.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can do all that. So hopefully what you're leaving with in this slide is, wow, this can actually do a lot. A lot of different kinds of participants, which is one of its biggest selling points. This is just ask, hey, can they do the study multiple times? Most of you are probably gonna say no. Then here's the cost part, okay? Most of us are gonna do a study that takes 15 minutes. Let's just keep that safe. If you pay people $3 at that rate, Prolific says, hey, that's pretty good. Okay, you could pay them less, you could, but it won't, it'll say you're a cheapskate. Okay, now, this is gonna prevent you from completing study, it'll slow it down. How much? It'll slow it down by 36 hours. Okay, so if I pay 3 people, if I wanna study international students who are on the US with a J1 visa, and I put this up at 12, I'll be done by maybe 1:30. If I pay, if I pay them $3, if I pay the $2, I'll be done maybe Saturday afternoon, but still really fast. Okay, and then it'll break down the cost for you. That's it. It's very easy to implement. Now, let's go back to this. Then I'll share my screen. All right, let's talk about cost more in depth. Let's jump ahead a little bit. So here's how it might break down. If your study is 10 minutes long, as I said, a good rate for a 10-minute study would be $2. A low rate that's allowable is $1.33. Prolific adds a 33% fee on that. You're not gonna do it for free, of course. So you're basically gonna be paying $2.66 for that one participant. If you want 100 participants, then that's gonna come out to $266. So if your study is very short, it's not relatively, it's pretty affordable. It can be more affordable, but as you can see, they're not gonna like you very much. Let's look at something that's more typical, which is a 30-minute study. For something like this, a good rate is $6, so it's very affordable still. Prolific's gonna charge you a fee. Now you're gonna be paying close to $1,000 for a longer study. If you're doing a survey study, an experiment, an interview, whatever, it's the same thing. The more involved the participant has to be, generally, the more money they want. You can advertise, it doesn't stop you from advertising, but you're gonna get a slower response rate and potentially lower quality data. Ask some questions about what questions do we have about the cost? This is its biggest selling point. It might not seem like that, but for most of you, you're doing studies that are 10, 15 minutes, $200 to $300, it's a great deal.
So Randall,
Yeah.
I have a question. I wonder how much can we trust if the participants are really people that are experiencing what we are looking for?
Yeah, that's a good question. On some platforms, I wouldn't trust it at all. On this one, based on experience, I ran maybe 2,000 people. I would say that 5% of them are not what they come there. And so for that reason, you want to put some attention checks. We wanna put some other questions that help you catch them. Like open-ended answers are really nice, because a lot of people will go type stuff on ChatGPT and they'll just paste it. And then they're too lazy to actually edit it, and it's very obvious. Now, should you not pay those people? You could not pay them, but that means that you have to try to figure out who they are. It's IRB, it will be, if you submit your IRB to say that, that's okay, but it's gonna get tricky. They're gonna complain. So yeah, in my experience, 5 to 10% of them are not who they say they are.
Also, prolific, like participants are very vocal on the internet, so they will call you out on
They'll call-
Reddit and other
yeah.
platforms.
They'll call you out if you rejected the work when they should have gotten paid.
Yeah, well, and like, you know, any like negative experience they might
Yeah.
have, so I would think it through, but my advice would be have screening questions even after these screeners. If you need to be absolutely sure someone meets certain, like, for example, if I want to do autism, might wanna throw in like a brief autism screener just to make sure this person isn't just, you know, self-diagnosed. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess my concern is not about the cost.
The
Because
quality of
I'm
the
thinking
data.
about the quality of the responses that we get. For example, if someone is struggling with financial situation and they just wanna do whatever just to get money.
Yeah, that's
whatever
where
they
the
can do,
screeners come
right?
in, right? If you need
Yeah.
someone very specific and they don't meet your questions, you still pay them, but you throw them out for your.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah, you have to set that up ahead of time to be able to catch that, and then afterwards you'll do a little data.
Yeah, but the thing is how much we can.
You can't, there's not much you can know, so Prolific doesn't require people to verify their ID with their ID. If you want to do that, you better put that in your IRB. That's very intrusive, but you could do that, you can say, cover your name and show me a copy of your, whatever, your visa or whatever. You could do that. A lot of participants might think it's kind of weird, you could, as long as it's all IRB approved. All right, let's move on here.
Have you done interview option or just?
I've personally not done it, but I've read a lot of studies of people who do the interviews. So
And it works pretty well.
they do it, they get it published, yeah. Let's talk about that. So what kind of studies can we do? So if you're a quantitative person, this is best for descriptive and correlational studies, basic surveys. No problems at all. You can do experiments. I do mostly experiments on Prolific. You can do longitudinal studies. Sorry, this is weird. You can do for some reason, this is, let me get out. You can do longitudinal studies. I've personally never done them, but that infrastructure is actually available on Prolific. They'll let you do that. So, what do I typically do is I will have people basically, shoot them to Qualtrics. And then at that point, what they do is, I randomly assign them to different conditions. So if I want people to read, what we do in this situation, then send them to, give them a different vignette and a different person. I've done that thousands of times. It's quite easy to do. Prolific will allow you for longitudinal design. So if you want to pay people $50, but you have to come in and do 5-10-minute interviews with me. Prolific, the infrastructure will allow you to do that, so that the person either gets paid in intervals or you get paid at the very end. So you can do that. If you're more of a qualitative person, I've also done a lot of text-based questions. These are actually kind of nice because you can kind of tell when they're fake. They'll say something like, "Oh, tell me about the first time you came to college and what that was like." You can tell a ChatGPT answer. It's pretty obvious. And so these are kind of nice because they help you catch people. But you can do that. You can do interviews. You have to do a little bit more management for something like that. Set up one-on-one interviews. You can do diary studies. Not a problem. If you want people to take a picture or a video of their house, like I'm interested in how attention in chaotic environments. You can have them just scan their house, take a picture, upload that onto Qualtrics, and then report on their diagnosis or whatever. You can do that. A lot of this just takes a lot of creativity. I've personally never done anything that involves live interactions, but I've read a lot of papers of people who do this kind of stuff. What kind of studies are you gonna do?
Oh, qualitative.
Very qualitative, so you can do that. If it's just, hey, log into my Zoom room, talk to me, you get paid. Something like that's gonna cost a little bit more money, because I don't want to show you my face. So I'm gonna, for a 30-minute, is that what we're talking about, 30 minutes? Okay, let's say 30 minutes. 30 minutes video, you have to turn on my video, which is really weird for me. I'm gonna kind of want about $6 for that.
Wait, that's a lot cheaper than I thought you were gonna say.
A minimum of $6, yeah.
So are there guidelines for like what would be too much?
Too much money?
Yeah.
I don't think so. If you pay a lot, you're gonna, again, on social media, people say, check this guy's study. It's awesome. People will widely advertise it.
If I'm doing, a survey research, Bob State.
Yeah.
The international graduate students, can I specify that in the city or not?
Probably not, because if you just want from Ball State students, that's gonna be very hard to do through this. You can use Qualtrics to administer the study, but the odds that they're a Ball State student are very low. Yeah, but you can do graduating students, you can do that from all colleges, you can do that. Or from college, you can do it by states. You can say only in Indiana, if you're graduating from a foreign institution, take my study, you can do that. But for Ball State, this probably wouldn't be the best tool for that.
I still don't know why this student with the Qualtrics, link to their.
Oh, yeah, good question. So you don't have to use Qualtrics. If you just want to build a study on through Prolific, you can. But the options are limited. You just do basic surveys and that kind of thing. If you want to do random assignment, which is more in experimental conditions, you'd probably want to do another website to help you with that. So they'd go to Qualtrics, you do the study there, and it's more complex, and they come back to this and get paid. But if you just do a basic survey or you want to set up an interview, you can do it all within Prolific, which I recommend if you have that ability. Yeah.
Question. What if a majority of the participants of the responses that we have are we realize most of them are ChatGPT? How are you going to handle that situation?
If that's not an IRB protocol, you just have to pay them. If in your IRB, you say, I'm gonna exclude people, and I'll get to the IRB in a second. I'm gonna exclude people if they show evidence of this, and this, then you can reject them and not pay them. They may complain to the IRB, but you're covered, because you said in your IRB that you will reject them for these reasons.
But I'm thinking about the time and the quality of the. Like, so it seems more like we have to start extending the timeline to collect data so that we can have.
In my experience, it takes about 3 hours to do early data cleaning to figure out who's legitimate or not. There are softwares, and I can give you a copy of, that'll actually record people as they're doing it. And so what I do with this software is, when I give me a description of your first time you went to college. If I see them blink, then there's a paragraph, that's obviously ChatGPT. And so you can kind of see how people are answering. So you can do that. That's actually a free software you can use. It's pretty easy to do.
I wanted to find out, how are participants like being recorded? Or like, how do they sign up on Prolific? Is it like they have to meet the particular criteria, or is it when they're seeking a study that they have to?
When they're first study, they just log in, they say, I wanna do this study, and then Prolific says, give me all your demographics. Okay,
Do they do that each time that?
no, just the first time. Give me all your demographics, what's your background, this and this and this and this and this and this and that. And once you do that, then that's it, now it releases you and says, okay, now you can take whatever studies are available to your demographic. So if I don't care, I want anyone and everyone, then you're gonna see my study. But if I say, I only want domestic students who are undergrads, you're not even gonna see my study. Okay, yeah.
But so like, anybody signs up, like theoretically, we can sign up.
Anybody
make
can
money
sign up.
on For.
And many people do, it's not a terrible side gig, okay? If you spend 3 hours a day just doing studies, I've looked into this, you can make anywhere between, $30 to $60. It's not a terrible side gig. It probably shouldn't be your main job, but.
Right, yeah.
Well, and to be fair, I used to do it as a graduate student.
Oh, really?
as well. Yeah,
Tell us how much time you spent, how much money you made.
I would do it during classes. Hypothetically. I think I would make, like you said, about 60 to 100 bucks a day, depending on what I was
It's not
doing.
bad. How many hours?
2 to 3.
Wow. not
Yeah,
bad.
and then one real cool study was where they sent stuff to my house to test out. There was like a consumer study, which is pretty cool. So I got to try the perfume sample. That was fun.
Okay. So it's not a bad side gig, but yeah, these people only see it if you meet their criteria. And by the way, when you're done with your study, Prolific will give you demographics for free. So be careful about what kind of demographics you ask, because it's gonna be redundant. So at the end, it'll say, here's some gender information, income information, here's age, how many, stuff like that. So it'll give you for free all that information.
And maybe also helpful to know like that the system does do a few checks for like consistency, like in terms of demographics, usually you have to verify that it's you answering with your profile, so. Yeah,
There's a few safeguards in there.
yeah,
Yeah.
like if people start out by relying on their date of birth or whatever, they usually don't get access to your service. That's
Yeah.
right.
You can also pre-select people based on acceptance rate. So if I have to do your study, you should need to have done at least 1,000 studies with a 95% acceptance rate. That'll filter people out as well.
So you can take like just participants who have been using the platform for a while to fill out surveys kind of thing.
Just those who've been using it for a while, and just those who've been using it for a while and they've been
They've
approved.
been, yeah, they haven't been flagged for.
Exactly. It won't actually cut down. These people are pretty good at that. It won't cut down as many people you might think. All right, again, yeah, time to collect, it's gonna take you maybe 1 to 5 hours. Sorry, I'm getting 1 to 5 hours to do a basic 15-minute study. If you wanna get 100 people, 15 minutes, study, it'll take 1 to 5 hours, you're done. If you're studying a little bit more involved, a little bit more strange, like have to, I don't know, take a picture of my cat or something like that. Okay, people are gonna be a little bit more reluctant, that'll take a little bit more time, and you know, it's a conscious point. If you do something like Sona or bring people into your classes, it'll take 4 to 9 months. We talked about cost already. How do you pay for this? Okay, so there are many ways you can pay for it. If you're a grad student, you can apply obviously for a SPA grant, especially most of you here. If you're in some kind of psych-oriented degree, then yeah, there's multiple SPA grants in fact for you. There is the HOLLIS, which I believe is also for psych-related people, and then the general grad student grant. I think it's about $300. $300 pays for a 15-minute 100 participant study, no problem. You can request it from your department. I mean, you can request, doesn't mean you'll get it, but you can definitely make the request. If your advisor has a grant and you're doing a study that's within their purview, you can request it. Doesn't mean they'll do it, but you can. And of course, you can also pay for that. That kind of stings, right? You're a grad student, you're like, oh, I have to pay for this. Yes, but you're gonna pay either way. Either pay with your time or you pay with your wallet. You're going to pay either way. So the question is, what do you want? How do you want to pay? Questions about payment. And it's also very easy to pay. It's not some complicated system. Give me your routing number. None of that. It's just take out a credit card, enter it. If you're in our department, Stephanie has already done this before, so she knows how to do it. But it's very simple. Yeah. If you are in a different department, then I can imagine that you can have your finance person talk to our finance person and they can show them how to do that. But it's not a problem at all. Yes.
So the Jocelyn is working on the policy right now, but the graduate students in our department, in your whole graduate career, you probably will be able to get at least 2 opportunities to get some support. So we don't have a kinds of money to support your travel to conferences, but we will have some money to support your second year data collection like this, or the dissertation data collection. We just don't know how much we'll have each year, so we'll just have to play a little bit by ear each year, but we'll have a policy and then communicate with you. Probably Jocelyn and I will have a conversation session with all of the graduate students to explain what our process will be.
And is that a reimbursement or is it something? that
We
you
can do
get
upfront,
funding?
it depending on your status, right? IRB is already approved and you already spent and you have not gotten support for other things. And then we have to make sure everybody get equal opportunities, but we do have some, ability to support the research.
Talk about the IRB. IRB will approve these studies, it's not a super controversial thing. It will approve. Let me just show you, if you're using the new KO system, let me just show you how easy it is to basically approve. Here's from one of my studies. You check the box that says research panel. They even have Prolific. The fact that they even have it as an option tells you that they've already dealt with a lot of people using this system. You check that box. What is the inclusion criteria? Age, they must come from Prolific, and they must identify as a college student. Simple. What are your recruitment procedures? I will recruit through Prolific. The site will advertise my study. That's it. Pretty straightforward. Okay, how are you gonna recruit them? Here is the thing I'm gonna put on Prolific. Hello, we'd like to invite you to do a study. It takes 10 minutes. You need to be these things. Now, I'm gonna already pre-select people to be 18 to 25-year-olds, so most of them should theoretically be able to do this. I'm gonna pre-select them to be currently in college, so it won't show up to the people. And here's the compensation. Tell us how you're gonna do a study. This is just a correlational study that looks at this and this and this and that. It's gonna be advertised on Prolific. Done. Not that extensive. Yeah, so that's basically it. That's all that's involved in the Caillou system. If you're going to reject certain people, you need to put that on the IRB. You need to say, if you don't do 50% of the work, I'm gonna reject you. If you don't do this, you definitely should put that on the IRB. If you do any kind of attention checks, you have to put that on your IRB. Just keep in mind that the more hoops you make me jump over as a participant, the less likely I'm gonna do your study. Because why? Because I get scared. I'm a legitimate participant. I want to do your study, but if you advertise and you say, oh, by the way, I won't pay you if you have a typo, you do this, I'm like, forget it. Forget it. You're gonna be one of these people who's not gonna pay me for my work. I don't want to deal with you. Okay, so be careful. What is reasonable? Reasonable is please complete half of the questions. You will get paid at least. That's reasonable. Most people will complete all of it. What's reasonable? Please don't take an hour to complete my study. Complete it within a 1 hour sitting. That's all reasonable. Question on IRB, so.
Colorado?
Yeah.
Should we just mention Prolific is the only method for data collection in the IRB, or we, just in case we want to make it an additional option? If, for example, if, I don't know, someone asked about the whole state population, if they want to do both, right? They want to try
You
exploring.
can do both. Yeah, I would do both. Yeah, just say recruitment methods. List all of them. That means you have to have different consent forms. You have to explain each process. Takes a little bit more work, but yeah, you can do that. It
They'll
doesn't.
send it back to you if they don't have some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't worry. They will absolutely.
They'll let you know if you're
Off the
missing
bat.
something in your IRB.
All right.
So like,
Mhm.
because you had said, the criteria for getting paid, I would also just think about payment separate from what you will do afterward, right? Like, you could just pay everybody regardless, and then in the data cleaning, still throw out people who failed your attention check. Just,
I tend to do that.
yeah, that's what, I wanted to just kind of emphasize, because I think that saves you a lot of work.
Yeah, I tend to do that as well. I just pay everyone. So if you're like, okay, I can clearly tell you you're faking this. I'm gonna pay you anyway, and then clean up afterwards. So that's probably the safe bet. If you're okay with fighting or the RAB and you can back up your argument, but then go ahead and, yeah, don't pay people. But a lot of times it's like $22. It's like,
Roberto, if for the certain study that they just use Prolific as the only method,
Mhm.
how are you going to justify the reason why you're using Prolific as the only method in your IRB?
I don't have to justify that. That's funny. That's a good question. So the answer is I shouldn't have to justify that. I don't know about you, but lately the IRB has been very nitpicky, that they'll give you advice in your research design. So you shouldn't have to justify that. I've never had to justify that.
Because I probably am overthinking, but what if they ask a question like, so how about people that would like to participate in your study, but they are not on Prolific?
You can't do it. Too bad. You just tell them, sorry, but you have to be on Prolific. Simple as that.
I put in mind that I would be looking, like I would be starting with like Ball State students, and then because of my, the subject that I'm looking at, it's gonna be beneficial to expand beyond Indiana, so I'm using Prolific to try to get that sample expanded a little bit. So I have in my IRB that I'm doing both, going into classrooms and getting students data from here, and then also using Prolific because it's a way to expand beyond Indiana.
And this day said you have to be prolific. They never came back. What if they're not? Too bad. You're not gonna do it. I just don't want you to do it. Yes.
So maybe, so recently we did the one IRB and then didn't offer that all day students first. No questions asked. That's, I think it's a kind of understood that this is a research participant recruitment tool. And there's no reason that your research must be specific about Ball State. You don't have to justify why you don't recruit Ball State. Because Ball State could do a prolific, right? And your study does not require Ball State. You need to more generalize the population. So it was fine. It
Yeah.
was went through, no question.
It doesn't cause problems. It's novel. It might be novel to you, but to the IRB is not novel at all. And so this last part is incentives. You just have to tell them how much you're gonna pay. When I pay people $2, IRB will take that. All right, it's not a good practice. We're getting the best possible quality data, but the IRB will accept that. I told the IRB, I only give it to people who make a good faith effort to complete at least half of the form. That's my only criterion. Everyone completes the whole thing. So I just wanted something. I didn't want people to do 2 questions, say, pay me, you know?
Think, hopefully, unless I'm gonna have to resubmit some things to IRB, I don't even know that you have to be as, like, tell them that you're paying each thing, because I just said that I was gonna be using Prolific to expand my study, and they approved it like that way.
Oh, you don't have to tell them that.
Yeah.
But if I take your study to
Right,
Prolific
yeah.
and you don't like my responses and you
Mhm.
reject me and I complain to the IRB, that's
That
probably
way
gonna cause
it
you a
leaves,
problem.
yeah.
Yeah, that's why you wanna do this. But if you're just gonna approve everything,
Mhm.
doesn't matter, because you're money bags,
Mhm.
then, yeah,
Yeah.
don't bother with this, yeah.
So how are you gonna track if someone completed up to half of your percent?
So at the end, there are many different ways you can do it. The most typical way is at the end of a study, you put a completion code. The person has to copy that and enter it into Prolific. And then it'll say, oh, person number 5, 7, 8, 9, 10 complete the code, here's their code. And I usually just put my phone number. And I just go down the list, yep, everyone has my phone number. Except. Yeah. It's pretty easy to do it. To know whether they're legit, that takes a little bit of work.
Did you ever put in like the attention check question?
I do that a lot.
How
So.
many in a study? 5?
You want to be careful with that as well, because a lot of participants don't like it when there's too many, because then they're like, a lot of them are actually trying to make a good faith effort, but people are terrible at attention check questions. So if you say, oh, what is the, right angle of a 45 degree something or whatever, I'm like, oh, geez, now you're gonna reject me, And so I usually add 3. There's simple questions like, what's inside this image? Or, if you're still paying attention, write the word dog on here. Or what I like to use is if you're still paying attention, tell me in 3 sentences, tell me this thing, and then people will go on ChatGPT because they're too lazy to type it in. Then that's when you catch them.
I wonder if we would like to seek experts' opinion. Right, and we would like to make sure that the people that respond to the prolific questions are experts in the field, if that is the nature of the study. How are we going to verify or,
I would say that you're looking for experts, like computer science experts. The sample will be a little bit smaller, but how do you verify that? That's up to you to decide. So I might give them a competency assessment, for instance. I might ask them to list all your accomplishments, maybe give me your CV. Of course, all that has to be approved by the IRB. Oh, or describe to me what criteria you have. So that's really more up to you. Prolific can handle that, but it's up to you to get creative of how do I want to determine that. But yeah.
do you think because I'm new to Prolific, I wonder if a majority of experts are also participating in this.
What do you mean by an expert?
In different fields, like if you're from psychology, how much, like I'm from education, adult education, how much,
If you search for like
yes.
college professors. or
Yes,
something like
yes.
You
that.
could search for it. I mean, they're there. Yeah, they're there. But if you're looking at college professors and computer science who are on H1 visas, it's gonna be a small percent, much smaller percent. But they're probably there. Can you get 100? Probably can get 100.
So basically, if Prolific has the filter in there, the participants can kind of say that like, I am a doctor or something like that. But if you want to verify it yourself,
Further.
you have to kind of come up with that on your own.
Yeah. That can either be, give me some proof, complete this assessment that at least proves to me that you should be able to do this. It could be something like that. Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna maybe wrap things up. We'll take some questions. If you need some more support of this PowerPoint, and it's gonna be available here if you want to get a copy of it. After we're done with this meeting, Dr. Cassidy is gonna put this video of today in his research design studio website, which is right here. You want some help for those of you who are outside the department in research design and setting things up, you can go to the research design studio. So, yeah, maybe we can have some food and ask questions. Y'all can, bring up anything you need.
Question, Dr. Right? I think, ILB partnership will be okay, so, like a full methodology, because ILB will accept all the things that we can, but is there any possible, like, issue at the leaders? Like,
Oh, no. We'll do this enough times, especially in the technology. The only thing they'll ask is, did you have any attention checks, how did you clean it out?
It's just about-
What does it mean? If it's something that people are like to perform very differently per online. That's all.
Okay, this was very helpful.
There's.
How did you do that?
And it was like 50, that has to happen. Watch, so you have to like 50 to 20 minutes, and I like walk in, they actually from the should be Chinese. How hungry are you, right? Basically, they go on, they log in, and then they say, okay, click next, and you click next, watch your program. It doesn't do a good job with that. Thanks, everybody who's online.